Welcome to the Dan Casper Show podcast, your chance to catch the full show anytime, anywhere. If you missed it live on the radio, no worries. We've got you covered with all the sports talk, opinions, interviews, and conversations from the show. From the Packers to the Brewers to the biggest stories in sports and around Wisconsin, it's all right here. This is the Dan Casper Show podcast. What's up, everybody? Good morning and happy Wednesday. Making the turn on this work week of ours. Big thanks for tuning in wherever, however you may be tuning in from. If it's on those radio dials, 105.1 FM, 790 AM, online, you can stream it up. SportsTalk1051.com. You got your Alexa, Google devices, the app, download it, take it on to go. Video stream also up and rolling right now on YouTube, multiple ways for you to be tuning in. That Shoe Doctor's bullpen line. Hit us up with some messages, 715-830-1912. But a very happy Wednesday to you all. What do we have on our game plan for us this morning? Baseball. World Baseball Classic Championship last night. Venezuela with a 3-2 victory over Team USA to capture the title. Venezuela jumped out to an early 1-0 lead through 3, tacked on a solo shot in the 5th. Bryce Harper ties it up in the bottom of the 8th, but Venezuela able to hit a go-ahead RBI double in the top of the 9th, and that was enough for Team USA Team Venezuela to capture the title. So it's wrapped up. World Baseball Classic in the books, and now we've got opening day coming your way next week. If you watched any of these games, watch the World Baseball Classic, your thoughts, your analysis, your input. If Rob Manfred, commissioner of Major League Baseball, called you up, sent you a text and said, hey, give us some feedback. What'd you think? What would you tell him? I loved it. I loved it. I thought it was highly entertaining. The thing is, like, when it comes to these type of events, tournaments, games, or whatever, the biggest thing for me as a fan, I want to know I want to tell, and we could tell as fans, but are the players buying in? You know, we talk about it a lot with all-star games, right? Are the players buying in? The players from, doesn't matter what team, country, I mean, Team USA, you could tell, was taking it really serious, and I would argue, like every country does, these players bought in. They 100% bought in. It turned into a great product on the field. It turned into entertaining games, and it was a home run. No pun intended. But fantastic. Fantastic. Highly entertaining, and it's a perfect prelude to the upcoming baseball season. I think so, at least. I loved it. I thought it was awesome. Throughout the whole thing, the environment, the intro last night with both teams coming on the field, carrying the flags, spotlight, well done. Pat yourselves on the back, tip of the cap to everybody involved in the World Baseball Classic. So, but your thoughts on it, let me know. Hit me up. We're going to talk some Brewers baseball here, as well as now we kind of shift our gears back to spring training with the last few games on the docket here. Brewers will be back at it today. Not sure when, Churio and Terang and Contreras and such are going to be back in the lineups here for the Brewers, and that probably give them a little bit in that. But nonetheless, we're going to continue our countdown here for what I think, in my opinion, is the most critical, most pivotal Brewers people for this upcoming season in terms of the Brewers' overall success in getting back to the postseason, perhaps even winning their division. So we've already selected Sal Frelick, Brandon Woodruff, Andrew Vaughn, who's going to be in number 7 today. So baseball talk coming up here in just a little bit this morning. Hoops-wise, we got our first couple games in for the play-in tournaments. Texas picking up the win. Howard picking up the win. So they will be in action on Friday and such. We've got two more games coming your way tonight before we get to the to the big day. It's coming up on tomorrow on Thursday. But we've got Miami of Ohio taking on SMU. They're going to be in action. And then Prairie View A&M versus Lehigh. So those games will be in action tonight. St. Thomas and the NIT did fall in round 1 last night to Seattle. So, but also with hoops, the Bucks, surprise, surprise, falling to the Cleveland Cavaliers last night. But again, surprise, surprise, Giannis is going to miss some time. Out for at least a week with a hyperextended knee. This guy just cannot catch a break with the injuries this year. I mean, of all of the downs that this team has had this year, you look at how many games Giannis has missed due to injury, and it just makes things worse. It makes it a lot more difficult to try to win some of these games and that. But even so, when Giannis was in the lineup, it wasn't like they were winning a lot of games either. But they're a better team when he's on there, of course. But still, man. So, I mean, we were talking about, is this going to be like the countdown, the final games of Giannis in a Bucks uniform? Now he's going to miss some. I mean, at this point, I wonder, do the Bucks just shut him down? If not, I don't know what you do at this point. Selfishly, as a fan, I'd like to see him come back and play a couple more games yet this season, just in case it might be the last time. But then at the same breath, it's like, is this how you want to remember Giannis as a Buck? Is how this season goes down? Probably not. So, I mean, you can make points either way and go at it from either way. It's just, it stinks. It sucks. I don't know how else to describe it. But I think now, if you're a Bucks fan and such, you're probably just like, hey, let's get this season over with and get to it should be a rather newsworthy offseason for the Bucks in that. But it's going to be a long, long, long postseason before we get to some of those moves for sure. But we'll talk some hoops, college and pro. Also on the dockets, we'll throw a little football chat in here too. Packers yesterday announcing that another honor for Bob Harlan, Ed Policy, announcing that they're going to be putting Bob Harlan's name in the northeast corner of the Lambeau Field facade, which I think well-deserved. I mean, I know the plaza is named after Harlan and such, the outside plaza of Lambeau Field, right? The entrance to the atrium, that area and such. But, you know, you see you're going to have that name up there. Ted Thompson's name is up there as well. Obviously, it used to be they would put those names up there for whoever was in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And it kind of changed a little bit. They put Ron Wolf's name up there. And then he ended up getting into the Hall of Fame. So they kind of like shifted his name. If you've never been to Lambeau Field, so they kind of they originally had Ron Wolf's name in the corner. All the Hall of Famers are kind of like on the sides. So think of the sidelines. They're all over there. But then when he was named to the Hall of Fame, they shifted him or moved his name to the rest of the Hall of Famers. Now Ted Thompson is in that corner because he's not in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, and I don't think he will, but you never know. And then Bob Harlan will be in the corner too. I think Bob Harlan still needs to be recognized and well-deserved to be in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Because when you talk about players or people, when you talk about people in the Hall of Fame, I think a big thing is, can you tell the history of the game without that person? And in this case, when it comes to Bob Harlan, I don't think you could tell the complete history of the Green Bay Packers, which is one of the iconic franchises of this league. You cannot tell the complete story of the Green Bay Packers without the impact that Bob Harlan has done on this franchise. So in part, that's why he should be recognized more and well-deserved to be in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. We're putting in owners and such. Bob Harlan should be factored into that too. I mean, the fact that we all know the history, but to go out there and get the funding and such, he's not the owner. It's not like he shelled out money out of his own pocket. I mean, you have to go out there and kind of campaign and and promote and all that sort of stuff. Kind of, and report to a board of directors and all that, maybe makes it a little bit more difficult in a lot of instances to run the team. There's no Ron Wolf, and a trickle-down effect. There's no Mike Holmgren. There's no Brett Favre. There's no Reggie White without Bob Harlan. So, glad Lambeau, the Packers are doing that. Pro football, it's time for the people that vote those people in for the Pro Football Hall of Fame. You're up next. That man deserves it. There's a few other Packers people that absolutely deserve it too, but Bob Harlan's right towards the top of that list for sure. So, what else do we have on the game plan for us this morning? We're going to talk. Well, it is a Mike's Star Market. Am I wrong? That's kind of what my am I wrong was. Am I wrong thinking that Bob Harlan should be in the Pro Football Hall of Fame? But if you got anything else, let me know. What are your am I wrongs? Am I wrong for thinking this? Am I wrong for saying that? We'll do a little Hy-Vee game changer as well. Who's your pick for a game changer from the past week or so? So from last Wednesday until now, could be a play, could be a player, could be, again, a move, an offseason move, or whatever the case, a trade. All that is on the table, all right? All that is available. So give me your Hy-Vee game changers. We'll do a little Inside the Hobby coming up at 8 o'clock. Tyler from Slab Factory will be stopping by where we'll talk a little bit about the hobby and such. So that's also coming up on the game plan for us this morning. So we're going to touch on a little bit of everything. And don't forget, get those brackets in, all right? Tomorrow's the day. Head to sportstalk1051.com. Click on that Fan Cave tab and get your brackets turned in. All right. Time is running out here, baby. So let's that's your game plan this morning. Let's get things going, shall we? We'll take our first break, and we'll open up, talk a little baseball. I want to talk, what was your feedback, your analysis, your thoughts on the World Baseball Classic. We'll talk a little Brewers as the countdown continues to opening day and all that fun stuff. All right, quick break, and then the leadoff will be right here after these quick words. Hunting season will be here before you know it, and that preparation starts right now at Tilda Gun. They know serious hunters don't wait until opening day to get ready. Whether you are gearing up for the upcoming spring turkey season or planning ahead for fall, now is the time to make your equipment, or now is the time to make sure your equipment is dialed in. From shotguns and rifles to optics, ammunition, and must-have accessories, Tilda Gun has the selection and expertise to help you step into the woods with confidence. Hey, maybe it's time to upgrade your setup. Maybe it's time to sight in that new optic, or maybe it's just stocking up so you're not scrambling later. Turkey season demands precision, patience, and preparation. Stop on in to Tilden Gun and talk with the people who understand the hunt because they live it too. Tilden Gun, get ready now so you're ready when it matters the most. Don't forget those extra turkey tags going on sale this week, 10 a.m. each day. All right, so got to get mine tomorrow. I got the alarm set on my phone. So, all right, let's talk some baseball to open up things. World Baseball Classic is officially in the books. Team Venezuela is your World Baseball Classic champions after winning 3-2 against Team USA last night. Venezuela 2-0 lead heading into the eighth. Bryce Harper ties it up, but go ahead double for Venezuela in the top of the ninth, and they were able to hold on to a 3-2 victory to become champions for the first time. It's the second World Baseball Classic in a row that Team USA finishes with the silver in second place. Overall, I think it was fantastic. I thought it was highly entertaining. Players were buying in. Fans were buying in. I mean, overall, I think if you're Major League Baseball and you just kind of pat yourself on the backs here and you give yourself a little victory scotch with this one because that – I think it was fantastic baseball. You had great storylines. You had Team Italy. You had great matchups and such. You had star power galore. You had younger players making a name for themselves, kind of putting themselves in the national spotlight here. I think Bryce Terang was one of those guys. Obviously, you keep with the Brewers sense. You know, Luke Fisher with Team Italy. I mean, just all across the board, there was a lot of good things to come from this. So, and it was just from a pure fan standpoint, It was awesome. It was awesome to watch, and thoroughly enjoyed it. And I think they got something here. Now, I know a lot of the talk is going to be, how can you make it bigger? How can you make it better? Do you put it in the middle of the season where you take, I think it was Smoltz that kind of threw this out there. Do you take the whole week off and do this? Do you just make it USA versus the world? I don't think you do USA versus the world, because I think what World Baseball Classic showed us is that you've got a lot of good representations from different countries. You got some parity in this thing. It's not necessarily like the NBA, where you could do that with the All-Star game and have a couple of Team USA teams and then a world team. I think for this, you've got such solid parity all across the board with different representations. I don't think you do USA versus the world, because in all honesty, I think I think world dominates that thing. Then I like the different countries represented and such, because it's almost equal talent. Sure, some are a little bit better than others, but man, I thought this was awesome. And I mean, even going back to earlier on, and some great stories. I mean, you want to talk about some local stuff? Vavra hitting a home run too. I mean, it was awesome. And I get the timing and such. You can't do it at the end of a baseball season, because I think those guys at that point after a World Series, even if they're not in the World Series, they're ready for the offseason and that. I don't think teams would be keen on players playing in the middle of the season, especially getting ready for maybe a playoff push and such. I don't mind it at the beginning of the year, because and maybe it just happened to work out perfectly this year, coming off the heels of the Winter Olympics. But it's I know I've kind of said it a few times, it's a nice prelude to the regular season, to a long regular season coming up here. You get the guys that already buy in, they're fresh, that sort of thing. There's not a lot of wear and tear on them and that. I kind of like the setup already. I kind of do. And I don't know how you necessarily make it bigger. I think right now it's like, maybe you just got to keep it in Miami, because those fans, they turned out and turned up for that thing. I mean, you watching it on TV, it felt like watching playoff baseball, a World Series. You could just get the emotion and just the energy from all those fans. So I loved it. I really, there isn't a whole lot I could kind of nitpick. I mean, the only thing is, and I don't think there's a solution to this, is, you had the teams kind of chime in and say, okay, this pitcher's allowed to do this. He's not allowed to do this. He's only allowed to pitch in a ninth. He can only do this. I don't know how you fix that, and I don't know if that's something that could be changed. You're not going to have teams that are going to give these teams free reign to do whatever they want with their players. Yeah, go throw Paul Skeens for as long as you want. Go for it. It's not going to happen, and I don't know how you change that. I don't. Regardless of the time of year, I don't think it happens. And I think what does help, though, is you've got this player push that players want to play in it. Players want to participate in it. Again, they are 100% buying into it. And I think that's the biggest thing. As long as the players continue to buy into it, as long as they continue to do that, and they put forth the effort that we saw throughout this whole thing, fans are going to buy into it. Fans are going to get into it. I think maybe the only question would be, and this really, is it not, do they change it up a little bit with managers? I mean, you saw Venezuela. I mean, he's the bench coach for the Astros and such. Does Team USA maybe look at a bench coach option? Because you're not going to get, right now, a full-time manager. You're not going to get, let's say, Pat Murphy's not going to go. He's focused with the Brewers right now. Could they bring in a guy like a Joe Madden or a retired, manager that could come in? Possibly. Very well could. That's an option. And maybe that's something they kind of look at going down the line. But for all intents purposes, I thought it was awesome. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I think they got something here. And I don't think any other sport could kind of replicate that. And I just, watching this World Baseball Classic too, it was just such a good reminder to see how global the game of baseball still is. How worldwide this game is. To see the different countries, to see the talent of these different countries, to see the talent represented, I think it's a good reminder that, hey, a lot of people, a lot of us still consider baseball America's pastime, and that it is a worldwide game. It is a global game with talent across the board. And you can't say that for a lot of sports. You could throw soccer into there. But, when we're talking about football for the Olympics, what do we say? USA better win that because that's their game. That's their sport. They better dominate. What other country could beat USA in football? Baseball, you got parity all across the board right now. That's what this World Baseball Classic continues to show us. If I'm the Olympics and I'm looking at this thing, I got to be saying, man, do we got to bring this thing back? Because look at what that thing is. If that's something that we can add to the Olympics, the Summer Olympics, man alive. And I think that might be the thing where you get the players to participate in the summer a little bit more. And that would be the tricky thing. Like Major League Baseball, do you pause it for a week, pause it for a couple weeks, like they do for the NHL, where they pause some of those games so those star players are playing the Olympics? Do they do that where they can have those, I don't know what the answer is to that. I don't know what the perfect answer is to that. But I think, again, watching this event, this tournament, it's just a good reminder how worldwide this game of baseball has become and how worldwide this game of baseball continues to be. And I'll be I'm going to tell you this. We talk a lot about baseball trying to get the younger fans, trying to keep them engaged, trying to keep them involved. My kid who's 8 years old, will be 9, is a baseball. I mean, he's very season by season, right? Right now he's transitioning into baseball. He's still in basketball mode, but he's transitioning into baseball right now. And when it's fall, it'll be football and that. He's really into soccer right now, which I don't next to nothing about soccer, so he already knows more than me. But he was cheering for Team Venezuela last night because of the players on that team, the star players. He's like, oh, I want that guy's jersey. Oh, I got his card. Or, man, I really like that. Contreras is his favorite player. Okay, so before anybody jumps down my back, it's like, why is he cheering for Team USA? Contreras is his favorite player. So Contreras was on Team USA. And then he knows Jackson Chirio, too, because that's one of his favorite players. Yes, Bryce Strang was on Team USA, but he's an 8-year-old, for crying out loud, okay? But then he started, like, oh, I like Torres. That guy's pretty cool. That guy's really good. Can I get that guy's jersey? Can I get that guy's card? So that is a way to get these younger fans involved, liking the game, jumping on board, is doing stuff like this. And I think they did a fantastic job with it. All right, we got to take a quick break here, but I want to talk some Brewers. Let's continue our countdown, all right? Our countdown to the most, in my opinion, the most crucial or pivotal players for the Brewers for the overall success of their season. We've already highlighted 3 of them. Let's get to another one. But we got to take a quick break. We'll be right back in just a few minutes. When it comes to quality meat, you don't guess. You go right to the experts at Mike's Star Market in Eau Claire. You're not just buying meat, but you're buying experience. Hand-cut steaks, fresh ground beef, house-made brats and sausages, thick-cut chops done exactly the way you like them. This is your neighborhood butcher shop where quality comes first and service still matters. Planning a cookout, stocking up for the week, or looking for the perfect steak for dinner tonight? Stop on in to Mike's Star Market in Eau Claire and taste the difference that a real butcher makes. Mike's Star Market, fresh, local, and done right. Speaking of Mike's, it is a Am I Wrong Wednesday, brought to you by Mike's Star Market. C-Bomb says the entire world needs to just do away with war. When there's a dispute, you either throw hockey teams or baseball teams out there and let the winner decide. Tell me I'm wrong. I mean, you throw in the hockey for the Olympics, you throw in baseball and such. Tell me I'm wrong. We've been spoiled as sports fans here lately with some really, really, really good games. Tell me I'm wrong. With the Winter Olympics, with World Baseball Classic, heck, you want to throw a little football free agency thing in this? Now we get March Madness coming up here. Tell me I'm wrong. We are spoiled right now as sports fans because it has been so dang fun to watch. So awesome to watch. Let's continue some baseball talk, but switch over to the Brewers. So we've been kind of continuing a little bit of a countdown here in terms of most pivotal, crucial Brewers people, in my opinion, for the overall success of this season for the Brewers. And we've already highlighted 3 players: Sal Frelick, Brandon Woodruff, and Andrew Vaughn. Today I want to go back to another pitcher. And I'm going to go Chad Patrick. Now, hear me out. Why I feel like Chad Patrick is very pivotal, crucial to the overall success of this Brewer squad this year. Part of it is because Brandon Woodruff, we don't know about the health. Can he hold up for a whole season? I think the talent is still there. We saw that last year with Brandon Woodruff. It's just the biggest question when it comes to Brandon Woodruff is, can he stay healthy? Can he pitch in September and October? We don't know. It's a big question mark. And then I'll just kind of throw out there, Mizorowski is coming up on my list. Okay, he's coming up. So chill. He's coming up here. But even with Miz, he's an unknown too. Yes, we've seen the good. We've seen what he could be. Now, can he put it all together and be that consistent, dominating pitcher? We don't know. So in comes Chad Patrick, who last year, when you look back at his season, was probably, to begin the year, the most consistent starting pitcher for the Brewers. And then kind of went through a little bit of a lull. Got sent down to AAA because guys started to get healthier and such, and he was the odd man out. Came back, came out of the bullpen, got some spot starts, was really good in the postseason. He's going to be a starter this year. You look at him, and is he going to be, I think if he could be, again, that consistent presence in that rotation, like maybe Mr. Reliable, if you will. You kind of know what you're going to get with Chad Patrick more times than not. And hopefully it's at a high level. You know, a guy that's going to go out there, get you maybe some double-digit wins and have an ERA like a 3.5 or something like that. But because there's a little bit of unknown right now with Woodruff and his health, and a little bit of an unknown with the consistency of Mizorowski. That's why I think Chad Patrick is uber important for this ball club's success this year. Because if he can bring that stability, that consistency within that starting rotation, Quinn Priester, you can't throw his name in there because he's dealing with the wrist injury, and we don't know when we're going to see him again. You know, even Harrison, the youngster, unknown, right? Robert Gasser, Logan Henderson, still kind of some unknowns. Gasser looked great a couple years ago. Last year comes back from his Tommy John surgery, a little up and down. That's why Chad Patrick, to me, is such a pivotal player for this team, for this team's overall success, because they need him to be solid. They need him to be good. They need him to be consistent. And even if Brandon Woodruff is healthy and pitching at a high level, and let's say Mizorowski is pitching at a high level consistently, you still need Chad Patrick maybe as that third guy, that third starter in your rotation. Heck, he may be the opening day starter for all intents and purposes, but you need Chad Patrick to be kind of that next guy in that spot, that third guy, if you will, to really hold down the fort and still pitch at a high level. And I don't know what the offense is going to look like for this team this year. And, you know, let's say the offense plays to the projections that everybody has out there with this group and plays, you know, or doesn't put up a whole lot of runs like a lot of people assume, it does put more pressure on the starting pitching staff and the pitching staff overall. So again, that feeds into why I think Chad Patrick is a top 10 player in terms of the most pivotal or crucial in the overall success of this Brewer season. And you look at, some of the numbers that he had last year. Yeah, he was just 3-8. If you're looking at the wins losses, he was 3-8, but he was 3.53 ERA, and he was kind of labeled that Mr. Consistent at the beginning of the Brewers season. And again, he was a guy that we didn't know a whole lot about, kind of thrown into it because of all the injuries to the pitching staff. Then it's like, oh, okay. And then stepped up big time in the postseason, too. Along with guys like Jacob Mizorowski and such. But you kind of look at the breakdown. Let me see if I can bring up the breakdown here quickly for Chad Patrick here. So, I don't want spring training. I want regular season here. So, all right. In the month of April, he pitched 5 games. He started 5 games in the month of April, 1.82 ERA. He was just 1-2, but a 1.82 ERA. May, 3.32 ERA. Then kind of started, maybe trailing off just a little bit there because June, 4.85, only had the 1 start in July, only 2 starts in August, but then came back in September, pitched in 6 games with 3 starts, 3.07 ERA. But it was, for the longest time, even if you look at his game in March against the Yankees, he just pitched 1 inning, he didn't allow more than 3 earned runs in a game until June 11th, when he gave up 5 against the Braves. And that was kind of like the start of his little lull, because then it was 4, then it was 4, and then shut out the Rockies, and then 2 against Miami, but then goes down to the minor leagues. And really, all season, when you look at Chad Patrick's numbers, he only gave up 4 or more earned runs in all of his games just 3 times. And they were all back-to-back. That June stretch, June 11th, June 17th, June 23rd. Otherwise, 3 or fewer in all the games that he pitched last season. That's consistency and such. And that's why he was Mr. Consistent to begin the season. So when we talk about all these pitchers and all these, Harrison's the potential, and I'm excited to see Harrison and Miz and obviously Woodruff, don't overlook the importance of what Chad Patrick can be for this ball club for this season. Super important. Super important. All right. We got to take our final break. Coming up, though, I've got my Hy-Vee game changer, and it's a little bit of a local flair. So that's coming up. Send me your game changers and send me your Am I Wrongs. We'll take a quick break, and we'll be back to wrap up the first hour coming up after these quick words. When it comes to fresh, convenient, and delicious, Hy-Vee in Eau Claire has got you covered. From fresh produce and premium meats to bakery favorites and ready-to-go meals, everything you need is under one roof. Planning some dinner tonight or maybe grabbing lunch on the run? Stocking up for the week? Hy-Vee makes it simple. A store that feels like your neighborhood market, just a bit bigger. Plus, with daily and weekly deals and seasonal specials, there's always something new to discover. Hy-Vee in Eau Claire, where there is a helpful smile in every aisle. I got to find out if they're going to be doing the pimento cheese for the Masters again here. I saw Masters was advertising their packages that you can order and such. Got to find out if Hy-Vee is going to be doing that or not. So, but speaking of Hy-Vee, my game changer, I'm going to go with the big news from a local standpoint yesterday. Eau Claire North football hiring Mike Sins as their new head football coach. Game-changing hire. That is a big-time hire. That is an awesome hire. Mike's a fantastic person, fantastic coach, and I think that's a home run addition to Eau Claire North football, and that is my game-changing pick. So, congrats to Mike, and congrats to Eau Claire North on the hire. So, that's my game-changing pick. What are your game-changing picks? Send them on over. You can hit me up on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line with a quick text at 715-830-1912, or you can comment on the video stream on YouTube. So, coming up at 8 o'clock, we're going to do a little Inside the Hobby. Tyler from Slab Factory is going to be joining me. We're going to be doing this about, we do the segments every Wednesday and such, but Tyler will be joining us every so often throughout the rest of the year and such. So we'll chat a little bit about that. We've got, I want to talk some Packers as well. Yesterday, Bob Harlan, I should say Ed Policy, announcing that Bob Harlan's name is going to be on the facade of Lambeau Field. And I think that's perfect. I mean, if there was somebody, and I know for the longest time, those names were designated for people who were in the Hall of Fame, Pro Football Hall of Fame, not Packers Hall of Fame, but Pro Football Hall of Fame. And then it kind of changed when they originally put Ron Wolf up there before Ron Wolf was in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. They put him in the corner, kind of separate from the others. If you haven't been to Lambeau Field, on the sidelines there, you see all those names and the years under them, years that they were with the Packers and such. Those are Pro Football Hall of Famers. And then when Ron Wolf was officially inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame, they shifted his name to that group. Now Ted Thompson's in the corner, and now they're going to add Bob Harlan to the corner. So maybe one of these days, but that's kind of where am I wrong is. I feel like and you can call me biased or what, but I think if there's a person that belongs in the Pro Football Hall of Fame from the Packers organization that is not in there, and there's a few. Mike Holmgren, I think, belongs in there. Jack Venisi belongs in there. Bob Harlan belongs in there too. And I've always had the mindset when it comes to Hall of Fames, this phrase has always stuck with me. Can you tell the story of that sport, of that game, without so-and-so? For Bob Harlan's case, you cannot tell the story of the Green Bay Packers without Bob Harlan. You can't. And in turn, you can't tell the history of pro football without Bob Harlan. He gets probably the least amount of recognition and praise from just, when you think about the 90s Packers, it goes to Wolf, it goes to Favre, it goes to White, it goes to Holmgren. But it all starts with Bob Harlan. And all the other stuff that he did, how we see Lambeau Field today, how we see this Packers team today. There may not be Green Bay Packers right now if it wasn't for Bob Harlan and such. So, in my opinion, am I wrong for thinking if there's somebody right now in this Packers history, and it's deep. You can go Vern Llewellyn, you could go Cecil Isbell. I mean, you could go all these other players or people, coaches, front office people that have great resumes and 100% deserve to be in the Hall of Fame. But if you had to rank them in terms of priority of who you think belongs in that Hall of Fame, I got Bob Harlan number one. And you all know I'm a big history guy. Jack Venisi should be right up there too. I mean, the Lombardi-era Packers are not the Lombardi-era Packers without Jack Venisi. If you don't know who Jack Venisi is or you're not familiar with it, look it up, because you want to talk about a scout and a general manager. I mean, he was the dude that built those teams before Lombardi got there. And Lombardi, that was a big draw for him to come to Green Bay, was because Jack Venisi was there. Mike Holmgren, I think, belongs in the Hall of Fame. I think he gets vastly overlooked. And there's some 40s, 50s, 30s era players, too, that you can make the case quarterbacks-wise. But given what he did, what Bob Harlan did for the franchise, and the effects that are still on this franchise right now, I just think he would be number one on there. So good to see that they're going to be putting his name in Lambeau Fields, and it'll be there forever, and rightfully so. So, all right, only got about a minute left until the shot clock cuts me off this morning. So we'll get back to some more baseball talk. Your reaction, your analysis, your thoughts on the World Baseball Classic. 2 thumbs up, 1 thumb up. How much did you enjoy it? How much did you like it? Do you have maybe some improvements that you'd like to see them kind of adjust for the next time and such? Let me know. We'll talk some hoops as we get set for March Madness. We got a couple more play-in games tonight. We had 2 of them last night. Texas winning, Howard winning, so they move on. We'll see if Miami of Ohio moves on with a win tonight and such. So we got 2 more, and then the fun really begins tomorrow. Get those brackets turned in. C-Bomb, I know you're not a college basketball guy, but get the bracket in. All right, get your bracket in. Surveyor, get your bracket in. All of you, get your brackets in. Go to our website. Click on that Fan Cave tab. Scroll all the way down and just sign in and get your bracket. Hudson submitted his last night, too. So, got an 8-year-old doing one. Even if you're not the biggest college hoops fan out there, fill out a bracket. Maybe you get a little bragging rights and such. So, but we'll talk some hoops coming up to begin the next